Nagraj Manjule's first Hindi film is a serious case of weak second half syndrome. Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage. I've reviewed almost 400 Indian movies on the channel, and today I want to talk about the Hindi language biographical sports film Jhund. It's the newest film by Nagraj Manjule, who I consider one of the best and most promising Indian filmmakers working today. When I saw his 2016 film Seite, I was really transfixed by the powerful storytelling, beautiful music, wonderful characters, and just this very special touch. His first film Farbenfroh, which deals with very similar issues, wasn't as poetic as Seite, but also really hard-hitting. And now, with his third film, his first one in Hindi, he's once again shining a light on people on the outskirts of society. In this case, a bunch of street kids, the titular Jhund, which translates to horde or less cool, unorganized group. Street kids with a lot of talent for football, and a coach who believes in them even if no one else does. That coach is played by none other than the great Amitabh Bachchan, and his Vijay Borat is based on the real-life Vijay Bars, the founder of NGO Slum Soccer. Jhund is a much bigger film than Nagraj Manjule's previous ones, and while it's not a full-fledged commercial film, it certainly feels a lot more like an energetic crowd pleaser. And you know what? I'm all there for an inspiring feel-good sports drama, especially, and that's basically almost always the case with inspiring feel-good sports movies, if it's some kind of underdog or in this case slumdog story. Unfortunately though, Jhund is just fine, and coming after Nagraj Manjule's first two movies, it's actually somewhat of a disappointment. There's a lot to enjoy here and I will come to that, but overall the movie's just a bit too mellow and middle of the road. And it's also super long with a runtime of about 3 hours, and it's really running out of steam in the second half. But first things first, the first half is really quite enjoyable as it chronicles how Vijay, who is obviously charismatically portrayed by Amitabh, recruits these young people from the streets. The movie's biggest strength, without a doubt, is this really colorful ensemble of young new faces, of which I'm certain most of them have acted for the first time in a movie and are probably partially from the streets themselves. And I think colorful is really the right word here, both simply in terms of their appearances, which make them these expressive, rebellious youngsters, but most of all when it comes to their personalities. The casting is great and Nagraj Manjule knows how to make these young actors shine. You take them away and let everything as it is and it would honestly just be a very average sports film. Not that there aren't any other highlights, but it's this ensemble that's bringing so much joy and life to the film. Fortunately, the cinematography is also pretty damn good as Manjule continues to work with Sudhakar Reddy Yakanti, who also did Sairat and Nal, which Manjule produced. The camera work captures the youthful energy and with the subject matter and this at times really free-flowing camera movements, it reminded me of Danny Boyle's Slumdog Millionaire. Another important ingredient from Sairat is the return of RJ Atul as the film's composers. And the music is certainly good and can create that sports high that you are looking for in a film like this. But overall, the 4 songs unfortunately don't come close to the masterstrokes of that Sairat soundtrack. And the placement and overall vibe of Love Dazala also reminded me a little bit too much of Zingat, and it just can't recreate that magical moment. And then Nagraj Manjule is also bringing back some familiar faces, either from Farbenfroh or Sairat, which was fine, but it somehow also felt to me as if the characters of Akash Tosa and Rinku Rajguru were really underwritten and it was made up for or trying to make it up for by just casting the leads of the previous film. Especially in the case of Rinku Rajguru because her character only appears in the second half and we then spend quite some time with her despite the fact that we also have these dozens of interesting characters from the first half that we could also deepen our relationship towards. I felt that the second half is really struggling to keep my interest. The scope is broadening from that one slum and this group of characters to a pan-India perspective and bigger football tournament. Which is interesting, but it felt as if it was just going through the motions of it. New characters are shortly introduced, new obstacles arise, and while it's commendable to shine a light on all these stupid hurdles that society puts up, especially for the ones that aren't as privileged as others, it's just not that gripping or exciting either. The first half had more about the conflicts and relationships among our characters, while the second seems to take a step back to give you this bigger picture, but it became less personal while doing so. At that point, the movie has already reached its high, both in terms of fun and excitement, and also in its central theme of showing that you can be just as good even if you're coming from bad circumstances. The whole pre-interval is this big soccer match, which feels very much like a small finale. There's also this really great brawl scene in the first half. I'm pretty sure there's some choreography to it, but it feels so real, so tangible, so chaotic. How everyone is moving in the foreground, in the background. This crazy mix of characters, young and old, and everybody is going at it. Now the second half is certainly not a complete wash either, but it definitely pales in comparison to the first. The overall tone of the movie is also just a bit too nice maybe, like a more mainstream, kind of Disney-fied version of a grittier slum soccer story. Now don't get me wrong, there are still some brutal elements in the movie, but the tone and approach are rather simplified and easy. And overly simplified or just brushed over are also two characters that maybe should be more important than they are portrayed here, or you better cut them out completely. One of them is the son of Amitabh Bachchan's character. Jhund is teasing some kind of difficult father-son relationship, but then it feels like it's completely copping out on it or just forgets to actually tell us something about it. And the other one is this young woman our main protagonist is having a crush on. I mean, I'm kind of happy that the movie doesn't really need a big romance subplot, but what we got felt kind of demeaning to me, because the woman never ever says anything until the very end and is mostly just there to look pretty and enchant our protagonist. It's not a big deal, but it felt a bit silly. That protagonist though, Ankush Masram aka Don, is one of these many new fresh faces. He is played by the total newcomer Ankush Kedam and he's pretty sweet. As are all the other newcomers, and their dynamic is what makes this movie come alive. Which is why I still ended up liking the movie quite a bit, despite its many shortcomings. So in German I'd say, Jhund zeigt Nagraj Manjule von einer seichteren, leichter verdaulichen Seite. Äußerst farbenfroh und mit einem großartigen jungen Cast, aber insgesamt auch echt lange und vor allem in der zweiten Hälfte mit wenig Biss. I give Jhund 7 out of 10. It's more like 6.5, but I don't do that. Alright, that's it like always. Comment below and let me know what you think about Jhund. Also, let me know what is your favorite Nagraj Manjule film so far and why is it Seirat. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd and also on Patreon simply at TheJimmyCage. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all I have to tell.